Good afternoon. Sorry. We didn't realise we were literally in the next room. We would have kept it down a little bit. Yananinu, Biktual, Liwik Bulak, Mamantan, Pamunan, Yananinu Duibaring Dan. We walk on the land of our ancestors. We walk in their footprints. Beladunan, Wangat Naranik, Kathleen Terik, Ba Waranjeri, Wulamik, Ba Jaja Warang, Ba Nrailam Warang, Ba Ganai, Kernai, Ba Bidawal, Ba Mari Mari, Tari Tari, Wari Wari. I'm a very proud Wurundjeri woman, and I named my other clans and introduced myself. I want to say first and foremost that I'm stepping in today. Obviously, an elder, our family was meant to be here, and I'm just stepping in place, which I have permission to do so. And just mention that we are going through sorry business, and it's been quite a tough year for our juries, and everyone really, and we just want to acknowledge that. The Reconciliation Week, we're coming to the end of it. It's an important week. It's an important week where we get to, gather around together a table and speak about, common issues. And, I want to do a special welcome for you today. We did the welcome for the General when he came, and it was really special. We believe in the work that the Salvation Army does. My grandmothers and my grandmother's sister worked for the Salvos for many, many years and was a volunteer, and it literally runs in my blood too. So we're proud of that work, and it's a big community, and that's what we are, our people. And you go to the different towns, or you just go to the different clans, and our job is to take care of people and take care of country, and that's what we do. We're going to do a couple of dances for you today. We've got our Womanjika Naraka, which is our welcome dance, and it represents almost like a smoking ceremony dance where goodness me. Sorry, that's just my phone where I was going to read some things from, but I'm just going to go on natural today. We'll leave that there. We're going to do our Big Dewey, which explains our 6 layers of country on Wurundjeri country. We have 6 layers of country, which we start with Big Ut, which is below country, and this is where we gather our ochre, and it's where all our trees and all the roots of the plant system all gather, and it's all the beginning of basically us and what is this beautiful earth. It all starts underground. And then we have Big Dewey, which is on country, where we live our day-to-day lives, and we cross in and out of 2 worlds, and we all live on country. So Big Dewey, and this 6 layers of country also explains that country isn't the whole country of Australia, but it's actually where we are right now, and that we acknowledge that, we have other people living on country, and that we acknowledge them as well. It's very important to us to, show not only reconciliation, but, courtesy to others. That's what we're taught as traditional owners and traditional custodians. So that's where we do our sharing and caring, is on country, our Big Dewey. And then we have our Banyabik, which is water country, and that represents all the waterways throughout country, the oceans, everything. It all flows through, and as we know, it's the source of all life. Water, the water that goes up into space and everything comes back down and keeps country alive, keeps us alive. And we have Wururubik, which is wind country. And wind country, we say wind country carries our voices in the wind, and it carries that smoke up into the wind, up into Bunjal's country, where we pay respects and we pay homage to, our creator spirits, and these are part of Wurundjeri law. And then we have Mornmutbik. Oh, we did that. Mornmutbik, didn't we? Sky country, where we see, our watchers, Bunjil and Wa and others, take their physical form. Wurundjeri culture, for this, what we've been taught is that, our watchers, they take physical form so that they can keep watch over country. All of you too, not just us, but all over everybody. Then we have Darangolbik, which is star country, but Darang means stick. So really it's translated to forest above the stars. Isn't that lovely? Forest above the stars. And that's where, Bunjil takes his spiritual form in the form of the star system, constellation system known as, what's his name? Altair, which is recognised in other countries around the world as an eagle as well. So that's really special. It means that, no matter where we come from, we share stories. We have common stories. We have things that bring us together, like country, that we all work on every day. We all, we're facing hard times. We are. But if we can do it together, reconciliation this week, it shouldn't be just 1 week. It should be all through the year, And we recognise 6 layers of country because we want to acknowledge that this is not only our home. This is your home too. This is your children's home and your grandchildren's home. We're all, people that are just trying to make it through this crazy world. And I really appreciate, and I've always stood by the same principles, the Salvation Army, the pillars that keep you guys going, and it's what has started this organisation to begin with. And so, we're really, we're going through a tough time ourselves, but we wanted to honour today to be here, just because of the work that you continue to do. And I thank you, Nungojin, continue to do that work because you are changing lives and helping people. I don't know how many times I've called the Salvation Army for help. So for that, Nungojin, thank you. And we're going to do our Womanjika Narka and our Big Doi, and then Lynette's going to explain our Jitty Jitty Narka, which is our Willy Wagtail dance. And I hope I haven't bored your ears for too long. We'll get to dancing now. Thank you.
Warangere, warangere, narapo, 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 narapo. Warangere, warangere, narapo, 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 narapo. Taranga, taranga pe, punjula, punjula, willamo, 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 willamo. Taranga, taranga pe, punjula, punjula, willamo, 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 willamo. Wuro, 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 wuro pe, punjuang, punjuang, nga, 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 nga. Wuro 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 be punjuan punjuan nga 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 nga. Murmut murmut be wuronga wuronga ngolo 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 ngolo. Murmut murmut be wuronga wuronga ngolo 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 ngolo. Ban ban bek yumurala yumurala morenda 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 morenda. Ban ban bek yumurala yumurala morenda 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 morenda. Bek bek tue yambolak yambolak ngarka 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 ngarka. Bek bek tue yambolak yambolak ngarka 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 ngarka. Bek bek kutero nururu ngarembel 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 ngarembel. Bek bek kutero nururu ngarembel 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 ngarembel. Wirigiriya moropo, wirigiriya.
Naga, our Jiri Naga, our namesake, and it's named for the willy wagtail. In some cultures, it's a not good messenger bird, but in ours, it is a good messenger bird. So I'll just put that out there because if any mob here today. What it's about is teaching and learning. So we'll have someone at the front, so Hayley at the front. She'll be doing different moves to me that's at the back. And we'll have a little Jiri that will do whatever she likes. And really with teaching and learning, we take on different roles as Kathleen has today with the welcome. And I'll thank you, Kathleen, you did a really good job. And representing our family. Now it'll be up to Kathleen whether she wants to have a go at the front moves because she's learning them or whether she wants to be at the back with me. Now with this one also, if anybody else in the audience would like to get up and do some moves, this is the chance if you want to join in. Because I'm doing the easy one at the back, being the older one. But please, thank you. Please join us, and if you feel like it, and thanks for having us today. And this is our Jiri Nyaga.
Wirigiriya moropo, wirigiriya moropo, wirigiriya moropo, jiri jiri, jiri jiri. Warananyen yargan yapo, warananyen yargan yapo, warananyen yargan yapo, jiri jiri, jiri jiri. Dumbanyen yarga dulap, dumbanyen yarga dulap, tumbanyan yarga dulap, jiri jiri, waramba nyarga bulak kujamba, nyarga bulak kujamba, nyarga bulak, jiri jiri, brokok nyarga maram brokok, nyarga maram, jiri jiri, nyarkanya yalengos, jiri, mundanai, nyarga bulak mundanai, jiri jiri.
Thank you. And thank you to the Judy dancers. Sarah, thank you very much. And also to Kathleen for your welcome to country. My name is Stuart Glover. I'm a Bundjalung man, which is part of the northern New South Wales to South Tweed kind of area. And it's my privilege today to lead us through this launch of our stretch wrap. Before we start, I acknowledge that we are not just standing here on Wurundjeri land, but right around Australia this is being live streamed on traditional owners of people right around this country. As part of the new stretch wrap, we've written a new acknowledgement of country. So if you be with me as we acknowledge country, not just here, but everywhere this is being live streamed. The Salvation Army acknowledge the First Nations peoples as the traditional owners of the lands and waterways of Australia that we now share. We acknowledge their unique cultural and spiritual connections to the land and waters, honouring their wisdom, their strength and resilience as the world's oldest living cultures. We repay respects to elders who play a vital role in fostering a fair and just society for all Australians. The Salvation Army has called Australia home for over 144 years, and we acknowledge that part of our history have contributed to the profound grief and loss experienced by First Nations peoples. We are committed to working alongside First Nations peoples to pursue justice, reconciliation and mutual flourishing. We again commit ourselves to prayer and practice to the lands of Australia and its peoples, seeking reconciliation, unity and equity. I also just want to acknowledge other mob in this room and also online. I see Auntie Shirley, I see Chris and I see Lou. It's great to be part of a team of mob right around the country, being part of helping the Salvation Army, being great agents of reconciliation. Let me pray. Creator God, we thank you for your grace and your wisdom for giving the first peoples of this land that we now call Australia custodianship of the land and waters and all created things. And we give thanks to you for their custodianship of that country for millennia. We acknowledge that you call us to be ministers of reconciliation through your Son, Jesus. Forgive us when we have not been good examples of your reconciling love, grace and mercy. As a Salvation Army and as individuals, may we continue to walk humbly alongside each other as we walk alongside and be guided by your Spirit. May this be true today and all of our days. Amen. And now I'm going to invite you to watch the screen if you're in the room, and online hopefully it will just switch over, as each division from right around the country acknowledge country on where they are and talk about what reconciliation means to them as we do an ancient process of passing the Coolamon.
Hello, my name is Mark Everett and I am the Divisional Commander of Queensland. I stand here today in Meanjin, known as Brisbane. I acknowledge the Yuggera, Juggera and Turrbal peoples of this land for which we share today. I would like to also acknowledge the Torres Strait Islander people in Queensland. I accept this Coolamon as a sign of creating faith pathways. We graciously share the good news of Jesus and grow in faith together. I now pass this Coolamon onto the New South Wales ACT Division.
Warami from the Eora Nation. My name is Robin Black and I'm the Divisional Commander of New South Wales and ACT. I stand here today on Eora Nation, now known as Sydney. I acknowledge the Gadigal peoples of this land for which we share today. I accept this Coolamon as a sign of building healthy communities and finding the wholeness God intends for us in community. I now pass this Coolamon to the Victoria Division.
Wobanjenka from Wurundjeri country. My name is Kelvin Merritt and I'm the Divisional Commander of Victoria. And I stand here today in the Kulin Nation, now known as Melbourne. I acknowledge the Wurundjeri peoples of this land for which we share today. And I accept this Coolamon as a sign of reconciliation that we may all walk together as brothers and sisters in Christ. I now pass this Coolamon to the Tasmanian Division.
Yapulangina from the Palawa country. My name is Dean Clark and I am the Divisional Commander of Tasmania. I stand here today in the Nipaluna, now known as Hobart, and I acknowledge the Palawa peoples of this land for which we share today. I'm holding a rikawa. It is a kelp water carrier which the Palawa peoples in this land use to transport water, food and even babies, items of necessity, sustenance and hope. And it represents our commitment to join God's work in building a fairer world where all can thrive. And I now pass this on to the South Australia Northern Territory Division.
Ninamani from Ghana country. My name is Paul Haitley and I'm the Divisional Commander of South Australia and Northern Territory. I stand here today in Tantanya, now known as Adelaide. I acknowledge the First Peoples of this land for which we share today, and I accept this Coolamon as a sign of reconciliation. I now pass this Coolamon on to Western Australia.
Kaya from Noongar country. My name is Darryl Wilson and I'm the Divisional Commander of Western Australia. I stand here today on Boorloo, also known as Perth. I acknowledge the Whadjuk peoples of this land which we all share today. I accept this Coolamon as a sign of caring for people, for being there when people need us most. I now pass this on to the Assistant Chief Secretary.
Thank you for joining us today. My name's Kim Howarth and I acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We're here today to further our commitment to reconciliation by launching our second territorial RAP. The Stretch RAP is the next chapter of our reconciliation journey. It's been shaped from the feedback received at the yarning circles by you. We commit ourselves in prayer and practice to this land of Australia and its peoples, seeking reconciliation, unity and equity. I will now hand over to Stuart Glover to commence the launch.
I'm not sure about you, but that was quite moving. And I'm just being with my emotions for a second. I want to thank all the divisions as they have participated in that. For me, it's a very meaningful thing. I pray that as you saw the meaningful words that would come out of the divisional leaders' mouths, as a sign of our reconciliation, you found it meaningful as well. Also want to acknowledge the work of a few mob places that do help us as a Salvation Army be better. The first is the Advisory Council, which is chaired by Uncle Vince Ross, who couldn't be here today. They help the Army be better. Also want to acknowledge the Butter Butter Network, which is part of our first RAP actually. It came out as a result of mob right across the Salvation Army wanting to engage with each other, care for each other, yarn with each other, and encourage each other. And I know most of them are online, and I want to say hello to you and thank you for joining us, but also those in the room. As was mentioned by Kathleen, this is actually the end of National Reconciliation Week, so it's really appropriate that we're here today to launch this RAP. Kim, in short version, spoke a little bit about the way the RAPs are done. They're not just a brainchild of a couple of blackfellas sitting in a room. It's actually a very consultative process. And it starts off, for us, we borrowed, with permission, a process of yarning circles, which we call Gumbi Bayang Guyang, which comes from the people from southwest Queensland, I'm just trying to get my eyes to focus, the Barangum people. Apologies for that. That enabled our people, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous, from right across the movement, to input and help us work out what a RAP, stretch RAP, would look like. An integral part of yarning for mob is not just talking, but it's also culture. And you would have seen some of the dancing that we did here today. Also, artwork is really important. And so I'm wearing the representation of those yarns on me right now, and each of you in your bags have a representation of that. The artwork isn't just a pretty thing to take home and stick on your shelf. It's a meaningful yarn, a story about what it means for the Salvation Army to be part of reconciliation. So, to help us do that, it's been completed. Once we've done those bits of yarning and the artwork, we then present it to Reconciliation Australia, who then help us to make sure that we are doing the right thing and helping us to be better as well. So I'm going to invite Helena to come to the stage and talk about their engagement with us and perhaps what they think about our stretch RAP. I think it's pretty good, but these guys that help us to do that. Thank you, Helena.
Thank you, Stuart. And I want to acknowledge too the traditional custodians of the lands we're gathered on today and extend that to everyone joining us online too, and pay my deep respect to the elders, past, present and future. Additionally, extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples in the room today and joining us online. As a non-Indigenous person, I recognise both the privilege I hold and the responsibility to stand in solidarity with First Nations peoples. And Australia's path to reconciliation has been marked both by progress and significant setbacks. And I continue to draw strength from the resilience of First Nations leaders who continue to forge ahead even in the face of adversity. And I guess that thought too really moving, I guess, to the theme of Reconciliation Week, which is bridging now to next. We're reminded of that lasting connection between our past, present, and future. And the theme calls on all Australians to step forward together and embrace our shared history and collective responsibility to build a more united and respectful nation. My colleague who's joining me here today and I were recently revisiting all the National Reconciliation Week themes that we've had over the years, and each theme is meant to capture a moment in time in the reconciliation journey, and it acts as both, the theme acts as both a mirror of, that captures a pulse of society and public sentiment, but also a guide about where to next. And the theme for National Reconciliation Week was coming about around the time of the 1-year anniversary of the failed referendum to the Voice. And that time in particular was marked by great reflection, but also uncertainty. But there was also a very clear call for truth-telling at that time. And when I think about what the Salvation Army's rap, what stands out to me is that you are not shying away from the truth. And I see this organisation is beginning to confront its own history, including the role that the missions played and the harm that was caused to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. And I wanted to say that this truth-telling is courageous and essential, and we cannot bridge now to next without it. So reconciliation also means that we need to sit with those uncomfortable truths. And in that, we hope to see a reshaping of our systems, the Australian culture, and our relationships. The truth-telling aspect of the Salvation Army's rap is a vital step towards listening deeply, not just to history, but to lived experience. And I also want to highlight the enduring strength in spite of all of that. The work being undertaken, and that is yet to be undertaken over the coming years, will serve as a guide for many people in the RAP program. So currently in the RAP program, there's approximately 3,000 organisations, and 5% of those 3,000 organisations hold a stretch or an elevate RAP. So and we look to many of our partners who hold a stretch and elevate RAP to guide many other organisations who are starting out on their reconciliation journey. And this, I want to acknowledge that this stretch RAP and the work that you are undertaking that is not simple is also will also be looked on by many other people who are looking for an example of leadership, of where to go. and where to be brave enough to go. So the Salvation Army's RAP 2 invites everyone in the organisation to walk together across this bridge towards a more reconciled future. Now, at this point, I just want to say that the RAP is only a plan. It's a scaffold, and it outlines commitments and a really strong vision. But it's the people in your organisation that's going to bring it to life. Now, I know in this room are many people who have their names against many of the commitments, but also online, I want to acknowledge that you may not have your name directly against the commitments in the RAP, but your contribution is absolutely critical to its success. And the Salvation Army can create opportunities and extend an invitation, but it's really up to each individual to take up that opportunity. So I encourage particularly everyone online, if you haven't already, as a first step, to read your commitments, familiarise yourself with what is contained in the RAP, and reflect on what that means for your specific area of work and where you can accept those opportunities that are being offered to you. Because really this RAP touches every part of the organisation, not just one division. And that video was very moving, Stuart, and I think that just spoke to just how everyone across your organisation is choosing to take this up and make it a national effort. So in closing, I would just ask you to reflect on what this RAP means for you. And I encourage you to stay open and engaged and keep moving forward together. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Helena. And I do acknowledge there are some in this room. In fact, a few of you do have commitments in this RAP, and I encourage you to fulfil them and your teams to the best of your ability. So I just want to acknowledge you. Thank you, Helen. Well, our stretch RAP is actually called, in line with some of the commentary we just heard, Our Journey, Our Business, Our Goyungs, or Our Camps or Circles. It helps us to take ownership as far as we can for our reconciliation journey. It's not up to leadership, it's not up to Miriam, it's not up to Winsome, it's up to us. They're ours. They're our camps. We've got to do that locally as well as territorially. As I mentioned before, the artwork that has been designed, which is part of the yarn, helps to present that story, helps engage our people to take us on that journey. We're going to watch a video in a minute which talks about the creation of that artwork. But as we do so, I just want to give a special mention to some of the artists who are involved and their knowledge and their cultural guidance. Auntie Sue Hodges, Brother Glenn Westwood, I see I know you'll be online, mate, as well as the brand and graphic designer James Alblio. Thank you.
We journeyed across country with Bayami, Creator God and Sky Father, shown here as the majestic wedge-tailed eagle. Bayami is the name used by the Wanarua, Kamilaroi, Gamilaroi, Eora, Kurungai, Dakanjung and Wiradjuri peoples. We acknowledge their language and their story of Creator God. The wedge-tailed eagle, called Birang or Milian, represents power and protection as it soars high above the clouds and is significant to many Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. In Badagan language, we call the eagle Birang. In Wiradjuri, we call it Milian, and in the Torres Strait Islands, we call the brown eagle Kisaulag and the sea eagle Kuranga. We acknowledge their language and their story of Creator God. Birang and Miriam soared high above our yarning circles held across our 6 divisions. With respect and care, we identified the significant reconciliation action plan priorities for the coming years. The artwork highlights a bed of bush medicine leaves that are used in healing and ceremony. Revelations 22:2 reads, "The leaves were used for medicine to heal the nation." The hand stencils framing the divisions represents the transmission of knowledge gained from our previous rap journey. Like the Bible parables, we are all storytellers. By sharing our stories, we can learn from each other and begin to heal. The cross shows our commitment to prayer and practice, which aligns with our vision and mission to share the love of Jesus wherever there is hardship or injustice. The Salvation Army has been in Australia for 144 years, working with the most vulnerable in our community, helping to reduce disadvantage. Our journey has moments of sadness and grief, and as shown through the healing leaves, the Holy Spirit brings comfort and protection to those in our community. In our yarning circles, many have reflected on the disparities present in our country, but there is hope in knowing that what unites us is our shared connection to country and community. Our journey of reconciliation calls for healing. Guided by a creative spirit, we aim to educate and make meaningful progress. One of our priority commitments in this RAP is supporting sorry business. Sorry business is the term used to describe the ceremonial process First Nations people use when losing a loved one. This exploration will shed light on the deep cultural significance of sorry business and how it affects the community, helping to address and support the emotional and financial challenges faced by First Nations people during these times of grief. This is our journey, blackfella business and whitefella business. We have Gumby, listened, and we are Bianga, yarned. And now we go back to our guyangs, our camps, and start this healing together. Creator God wants us to heal, reconcile, and work together. Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, they will be called children of God." It's a familiar voice again. How cool was that? I've never seen it. Like, obviously I've seen it, but to see it sitting there and it looks amazing. And the whole eagle, like, was dancing. Like, those graphic mobe, they know what they're doing. Yadi gadi, nuggle gadi, cobble cobble na, cobble cobble, buddingum, cobble cobble, nanga, rudgery. You all know I'm Lucy. I'm a proud cobble cobble buddingum woman from southwest Queensland. I want to acknowledge the Wurundjeri peoples in Jitty Jitty for the beautiful dancing. I'm a dancer and a songwoman. There's nothing more that I love is seeing when babies get up and dance. And she was the cutest little thing. She didn't care either. She was just throwing those leaves everywhere. I just want to honour first my song lines of Buddingum. Buddingum Burgang Nagan Buni Buni, which is the Bunya Mountains. I want to acknowledge the permission that my family and my old people had given me to share the Bunya Mountains story of sitting in circle and sharing and yarning. I also want to acknowledge the different language groups across Australia who've given our permission to share it throughout the RAP, including some of those language groups that were mentioned in the video. I also want to acknowledge the Torres Strait Islands and
people within our organisation and who have given us permission to share their language as well. Well, you mob, what a journey. I'm pretty tired, I don't know about anyone else. It's been a pretty long 12 months. Today marks the launch of our stretch wrap, but tomorrow is when the real work begins, when we start digging deeper into reconciliation. Our Innovate wrap analysis showed us that there is still much work to unpack about what reconciliation is and looks like in practice. The latest wrap circle analysis reinforced that while education is still needed, our focus ahead shifted from learning to action. Following on from our Innovate wrap, we have 6 significant commitments for our stretch wrap, including truth-telling, social justice and advocacy, a wrap database to track progress, cultural safety, reconciliation allied guyang, and sorry business. Each of these commitments reflects the evolving journey of reconciliation. Truth-telling and social justice and advocacy build on previous wrap deliverables, bringing them to life in new ways. Sorry business ensures a support for First Nations people during times of grief. Reconciliation allied guyang strengthens allyship, showing how to stand in solidarity effectively. The wrap database, one of my personal favourites because I love accountability, introduces governance that allows us to track progress and provide support where needed. Cultural safety runs throughout the wrap with a review checklist to ensure our spaces are safe. Beyond these 6 priorities, the stretch wrap includes 125 deliverables. I know, right? 125. We had 89 last time, but no, we went the full, we're going 125. Including a First Nations Christian group supporting leadership, ministry and service, aiming for 5% of First Nations representation, we can do it, and developing a care of country resources for our Salvation Army sites, which is pretty cool. Reconciliation remains a priority for the Salvation Army. Through our Innovate wrap, we developed the Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander Cultural Competency and Capability Framework, which has now transitioned into business as usual BAU. As part of its integration, the framework undergoes an annual review on the anniversary of our wrap, ensuring continuous growth and relevance. Now embedded within the Salvation's policy suite, it is supported by a comprehensive toolkit, providing key resources to strengthen its implementation. The wrap serves as an overarching framework embedding good policy and holding us accountable for our commitments. I want to acknowledge, I was saying, do I have to say anything? And they're like, yeah, you've got to say something. But they've given me a nice job because I get to thank all the important parts of the Army and I get to thank people, which I love. I want to acknowledge my incredible team, the wrap project team, led by Project Manager Fleur Cattell. What a privilege it has been, Fleur, to walk with you again, not once, but twice. And not during COVID. I think last time, we remember, Mary, we had there was 10 of us or a few of us and everyone else, we had 800 people online and it's a different time now, but who would have thought that we'd do it again together? Navigating the many moving parts across the Army requires more than knowledge and skill, and your deep understanding and respect for First Nations communities and the sacred space of yarning is truly commendable. See you in 3 years, sister. It's 3 years, isn't it? Reconciliation Australia. To our amazing and wise business analyst, Jackie Wally. Are you here? There you are. Your ability to listen, gather insights and weave the stories from our yarning circles in a cohesive songline for our wrap has been invaluable. Thank you for listening. Isam, Julia and Melissa, I know they're there. Your dedication and contribution has been a tremendous asset to the Salvos. Many challenges could not have been overcome without your commitment and hard work. And if anyone knows Isam, without your smile and laughter, I think everyone would agree. Thank you, team, for continuing to encourage me to speak up and use my voice in spaces where I may have felt silent. Thank you for allowing space when situations arose in my community, like Sorry Business, and you took the reins on my behalf. I appreciate that. And I know Stewie and Cheryl understand when that happens in our communities, our work does stop. And if you don't have a really dedicated team, it's hard to pick stuff up. Hey, bro, Sorry Business is a massive part in our community, so I appreciate the patience and love that you showed me during the enormous amounts of Sorry Business that I had to deal with in the last 12 months. A project of this scale would not have been possible without collaboration across multiple departments within the Salvation Army. Their collective effort has ensured that reconciliation is not just an initiative, but a sustained and meaningful action. And I truly mean that. I think this time around, it seemed a bit different. Last time, during COVID, everyone was online, so it was kind of easy. But this time, I kept saying, gee, the Salvos are a really big machine, aren't they? They just keep going and growing, and there are so many different departments. It was more in your face this time. And I guess part of it too was we could do yarning circles in face-to-face, which was very intimate, but also it required a lot of travel and coordination and stuff. These departments include brand mission campaigns, internal comms, Butter Network, core, Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander Ministry, policy, IT development, and change and delivery teams, and anyone else that I've forgotten. I also wish to acknowledge the role that the Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander Advisory Council plays in endorsing strong and robust conversations led by our convener, Uncle Vince Ross, who isn't here today. I love you, Uncle Vince. We love him, don't we? I especially love in our advisory council meetings when we're right on the, Stuart's laughing, and then Uncle Vince will pull out the guitar and remind us why we're there, and we'll sing a good church hymn. Joined by many other First Nations Salvationists across the country, this form of governance ensures First Nations voices are heard at a senior level. To the Salvation Board for their support and endorsement, and for Reconciliation Australia for your ongoing engagement, direction, and obviously for your endorsement, because without that we wouldn't be standing here. So thank you, Reconciliation Australia. A special acknowledgement to Cheryl, the General Manager of our Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander Ministry team. You're a leader who opens doors. Thanks, Stewie. Stewie started that. Me getting emotional. Thank you, Stuart. Opens doors and ensures that each moment is a learning one. And you've done that. And you've done that for me, and have always been in support for me. Thank you for all you do in this space and all that you have done, because it's people like you who have led us to be here. And I just want to say that we honour you, and we honour Uncle Vince and all of those who have done this. Now, I definitely won't be able to wear my glasses. And to the ministry team, your wisdom and support has been invaluable. In particular, Auntie Sue Hodges, one of our artists. Your cultural knowledge and your love for God is infectious, and anyone who knows Auntie Sue knows that. To Glenn Westwood, National Manager, Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander Engagement Employment Plus, who leads the Butter Network and facilitated many yarning circles across this time, engaged deeply in working groups and collaborated in the creation of the rap artwork. Your commitment does not go unnoticed, brother. We love you, brother, and we know that you're watching. And to the many First Nations voices who have guided this process, and I say guided this process, to mob across the Army who took the time to review, share their insight, and speak. Your contribution ensures the rap is meaningful. If it's not having an impact on First Nations people and the communities that we work in, then it's not doing its job. Thank you. To the Territorial Commander, Chief Secretary, and the senior leadership team, Thank you for enabling us to gather so many voices. You know, when we first did our comms, we got hardly anyone, and then Miriam, you did yours and your energy, and then everyone started joining the rap circles. But it takes leadership to do that, so we appreciate that. To my manager, Greg Morgan, poor fella. Your support has made a huge difference in this process. As a single mum, juggling work and family takes some good coordination. And your understanding has allowed me to bring the best of me in my community and the work that I do here. And I really appreciate that. People who know me and many First Nations people are very similar. We have 9-to-5 jobs. We look after our parents. We look after other kids. We run community stuff where we don't have 9-to-5 jobs. So it's a blessing. This organisation, this ministry is a blessing because not only do you understand that, but you appreciate people like myself, like Shirl, like Stu, like others. You understand, and it's because we all walk in the light of God, right? And he sent his son to us to show that. And instead of having to go over and over every time there's sorry business or something else, it's that understanding of this is what we do. So I appreciate that. I've totally gone off script as I do. And to every corps and program across the Army who welcomed me and my team into your space for on-country circles, Bebejim, who we call Creator, has placed you in these communities, guiding your ministry to serve the vulnerable. Reconciliation is at the heart of the gospel. Just as we reconcile with our Father, we follow Christ's example of restoring relationships with one another. Now, to my support person on my rap journey, Priya Morgan. I don't know where Priya... There she is. Thank you for your incredible organisation skills. That woman can organise anything. Connecting with core and your grace and patience as I yarned with every single blackfella that I came across on our journey, no matter how late I made us to the next yarning circle, but you appreciating, that's my mob. Thank you for that. Lastly, I just want to mention my gundus, my kids, and my family who are a constant support to me, especially when I'm travelling. My gundus are the reason why I do what I do, and they're a kind of a reminder when they're behaving themselves of what kind of reconciliation I want. I want one where we can share. I want one where we can play together. I want one where we love each other. The journey is only beginning. Let's continue to walking together, learning, acting, and building a future grounded in truth, justice, and reconciliation. Thank you.
Now, my notes say I've got to say some nice things about Lucy because she wrote my notes. And having been a former manager of Lucy, I just want to acknowledge you, Lou, your persistence, your resilience, your passionate advocacy for mob, in spite of all the seemingly intractable bureaucratic boundaries that sometimes this movement, as much as I love it, puts up in the way of things. So thank you for that. Thank you for being you. You couldn't have done it any other way than the way you did it. So, and we've got there, which is great. So acknowledge you, Lou, and your hard work and the impact it had on your family. I know that's really important to you, as family is important to all of us, but I know particularly for you that was always a struggle to how to balance those things. So thank you for being you and doing what you've done. One of the great things about our rap, and our former rap for that matter, and being part of this movement, is our commitment to advocacy for when things aren't the way they should be. Here I go again. I had the privilege of being the spokesperson during the voice process for the Salvation Army, and a lot of what we did was supported by our great policy and advocacy team. And I want to introduce you to Jen, who is the General Manager of our policy and advocacy team, who's going to talk to us about our policy and advocacy process for this next wrap. Thank you, Jen.
Yamalundi, and thank you. I've travelled from Ngunnawal and Ngambri country to talk to you today about social justice and about advocacy. Social policy and advocacy is part of social justice. It's about identifying and then seeking to change the structures and systems that are the drivers of disadvantage. And that might put you in mind of my hometown, Canberra, and this big house on a hill here, or any of the other 8 custom-built democracy zoos around Australia. And a lot of really good work happens here in these houses, but these houses are not the home of social justice. Before we even think about talking about into one of these houses, we think about 4 things. We need a moral imperative in order to speak. Hopefully that goes without saying. We need an evidence-informed position. We need to have thought about what it is we're asking for and the consequences if we achieve what we've asked for. We don't ever want to talk or make noise for the sake of it. So we always want to make sure we are making a meaningful contribution to the public conversation. And finally, I think most importantly, we want to support and amplify the voice of lived experience. One of the most exciting things about this Reconciliation Action Plan is the effort that has gone into listening and respecting the voice of lived experience. The on-country raps are a perfect example of this. Lucy was kind enough to invite me to join her in the Northern Territory. And in those raps, the drivers of disadvantage were very familiar. Job seeker is too low. The remote allowance is woefully inadequate. Our housing system is not fit for purpose. Social policy is often designed without cultural sensitivity or cultural respect, and it doesn't do what it needs to do. The causes, the drivers, were big, overwhelming, familiar. But the asks weren't. Because the asks in none of those circles were fix everything. The asks were never get all of your systems and structures right before we can progress. The asks in Catherine were about being able to influence the menu. Can we have bacon and egg for breakfast sometimes? The asks in Alice were, can the Salvation Army work with electricity providers to find a more compassionate way to deal with prepaid electricity bills? In Darwin, there was a big focus on having access to a boat so that people can continue cultural practices that are critical to community. Drivers were familiar, asks were not. I am so grateful for this Reconciliation Action Plan because it is a reaffirmation that the Salvation Army does justice, not just in big houses on hills, but in any house, on any street, on any platform. Because that is how reconciliation advances. That is how social justice advances. Small steps, wherever we are, working together. This is an incredibly exciting time for social justice and reconciliation in Australia. I am so grateful and I am so excited for the role that we're going to play in it. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be part of it, and thank you all for the support around social justice.
Thanks, Jennifer. Now I'm going to introduce you to Auntie Shirley. Lucy mentioned earlier that Auntie Shirley has been in this space for a long time, and I just want to say thank you from my personal point of view as well, Shirley, for your stickability at, again, what is sometimes seems to be intractable problems and challenges. Even within a movement that's committed to reconciliation, it doesn't always go smoothly. And your kind and persistent nudging and niggling and pushing us along has got us to where we are. We've still got to go away, but I just want to acknowledge that, Auntie Cheryl, and not only for as you've been part of the Australia Territory, but also for your work in the former Eastern Territory. So, General Manager of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Ministry, Auntie Shirley Congley.
Watamuli friends, my name's Shirley Kongu. I'm a Cubby and South Sea Island woman, and I'm the General Manager of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander team. That was a beautiful welcome, and for us, the first thing we see as blackfellas is looking around and looking for cultural safety. And for an event such as this, cultural safety is seeing ourselves in that, and also seeing our customs recognised and our traditions. So, yeah, it was a beautiful welcome, and the little one was very, very cute. So I've been invited to share my reflections on the critical journey of reconciliation and building cultural competence of the Salvation Army. This comes with 13 years in service and 16 years of deepening my faith. My reflections recognise those who I have sat with in the room on many occasions to wrestle with the way forward for the Salvos in the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander space. My first honours go to Uncle Vince Ross, who has not only taken me under his wing, but he's been a great mentor and inspiration to me to keep running the gauntlet by sinking my roots deep and to weather any storm, and that's why I still stand here today. Prior to working for the Salvos, I joined the National Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Reference Group in 2010, made up of the two territories. So on screen, so that was 2010. By June 2012, the reference group sent a joint letter to the combined territories cabinet meeting requesting several items for discussion to establish a unified national approach for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples that you see on the screen. The two most urgent issues identified were the implementation of the National Policy Statement and the creation of a national reconciliation plan. We believe these two priorities would help inform the strategic and tactical directions for the other initiatives. In 2016, the reference group met with the Eastern Territory Commander to discuss the unification of the two Salvation Army territories under the Australia One initiative. The reference group expressed their desire to be included early in the Australia One process for two main reasons. We had already demonstrated our ability to work in partnership across both territories, and we wanted to ensure that the recognition of Australia's First Peoples were integral to any decisions made concerning the future of the Salvation Army. This request was honoured through meetings that Uncle Vince Ross, Major Sandra McLean and I had with the Salvation Army Board on several occasions during the Australia One process. Our discussions centred around the three key concepts of self-determination in the context of the Salvation Army. One was allowing us to lead, two was providing us with the resources, and three, providing us with the necessary support. We presented an outline of what we identified as the priorities at that time, including a reconciliation action plan. I can confidently say today that there is a strong commitment from the Salvation Army leadership to ensure that the Salvation Army expressions establish positive relationships with First Nations people. What we know is the journey to reconciliation and cultural competence is complex and needs ongoing effort, not a quick fix. True progress requires deep understanding, lasting change, and a commitment to continual learning and action. Our team's experience with the Salvation Army mission expressions has been very encouraging. There is considerable interest and enthusiasm. Although challenges still exist, they are transparent, allowing us to address and improve them. I love this quote from a team member. One of the most exciting aspects of this journey has been watching the hearts of people change. When the light bulb switches on and people go from seeing reconciliation and cultural competency as a policy requirement to something that lives in their heart. You see people leaning in with respect, asking more questions, yarning more deeply, and genuinely wanting to build relationships with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. So in closing, I would like to acknowledge previous leaders of launched RAPs who guided their respective working groups through the consultation and launch process. While they may have worked collaboratively within their groups, it is important to recognise that their leadership was instrumental in making these efforts successful. So our previous RAPs. 2015, the Eastern Territory Innovate RAP, Adrian Kiston and myself. 2016, the Southern Territory, the Victorian Reflect RAP, Major Sandra McLean and Working Group. 2020, the Tasmanian Division Reflect RAP, Major Kim Hayworth and the Working Group. In 2020, the National RAP and Innovate RAP, led by the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Ministry team and the newly RAP manager, Lucy Davis. So I think to expect our team to be able to lead this stuff is, we identified very early on that we couldn't do it. So it was very important for us to see that there was actually a national RAP manager and who could lead that and focus on that and just let our team do what our team do within the Salvation Army. And Lucy has led well, and I think listened well. And our team really appreciate what you do, Lucy, and because we do need the drivers in the different areas, and we drive where we drive, and you drive where you drive, but we're always coming back together. It's a cultural thing where we come back together because this is not about any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander person who works for the Salvation Army, because at the core of us is the flourishing of our people, and the Salvation Army just happen to have all these services that we would consider healing services of some type. And so we want to make sure that they're culturally safe and culturally appropriate. So to conclude today, I would like to acknowledge the current members and previous members of the National Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Reference Group that you can see on screen. So reconciliation begins with sitting with us at the fire, listening firstly and then engaging in the yarns and taking action to learn more of the hidden histories that continue to impact our people. And lastly, but most importantly, thank you to our old people who have gone before us, our mob who continue to strive for truth, justice and reconciliation, and to the Salvos for being courageous enough to take this journey under the guidance of First Nations people. Thank you.
Well, it's good to be here. Whether you're online or whether you're in the room, it's good to be here. It's important to be here. And so for this white fella, it's important for me to be here. And for all of us to recognise that this is our journey. This is a shared journey. This is white fella business and black fella business. This is something we do together. The journey of reconciliation is not something to be done alone. And I hadn't really thought about cultural load. That's one of the new things that I've learned over recent time. But I just want to mention that and that understanding that for all of us, we need to share and go on this journey together. This isn't just the journey of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Salvationists or people who work for the Salvation Army, but we do this together. This is our journey. I'm meant to acknowledge a few people. Before I do that, I want to thank Auntie Shirley for her leadership of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Ministry team. Thank you for the work you and your team continue to do each and every day right across Australia. I want to acknowledge Lucy as well, as has already been done, our RAP manager. So again, thank you, Lucy, for the work that you do each and every day. It's been a busy year getting to this point, but as has been said, it actually starts tomorrow. This is a journey which we commit to, we all commit to. So thanks, Lucy, for what you've done so far, and there'll be more work tomorrow. and the day after. Let's share that journey together. But I'm here to acknowledge a few people who participated in different ways. And so I do want to say that the launch of our Stretch Wrap marks an important step forward in terms of our reconciliation journey with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. It deepens our commitment and our understanding as the Salvation Army. It deepens our commitment to strengthening relationships, to creating a shared future together of respect and equity. And this journey has brought together officers and employees and core members and volunteers in those yarning circles right across Australia, some virtual and online, some face-to-face and on-country, in core and social centres and a variety of settings right across our nation. And none of this would have been possible without our First Nations staff, particularly the Butta Butta Network members who have already been mentioned, who led and facilitated and joined in with these circles. Butta Butta meaning biggest mob in a Jinambara Banagara language. And that was a commitment of our Innovate Wrap, as has already been mentioned. And the Butta Butta Network has grown into really a pastoral care network, a shared network where our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander personnel can check in, can share stories, and can support one another. Butta Butta members have also shaped key areas like policy reviews, procurement, and community engagement. And so today we want to recognise and thank those who facilitated our wrap circles. You can see some of the names of our Butta Butta network on the screen there. Thank you for bringing your cultural knowledge, your personal experiences, your generosity in sharing, and all of that has deepened our collective understanding. But also on the screen there, you can see the names of some of our support allies as well. And so we want to acknowledge our allies on this journey who played a vital role in supporting facilitators, in ensuring a safe and comfortable space for truth-telling and discussion. Reconciliation is about relationships. It's about the way that we care for each other, the way that we journey with each other. And so this is a powerful example of that commitment in action. You can see those names. No, you can't. They've gone. Those names were on the screen of some of our facilitators from Butta Butta Network and also some of those Wrap Circle allies. Facilitating a yarning circle is no small task. It takes courage. It takes courage to share experiences, some of which may be deeply personal and indeed deeply painful experiences. And so we want to honour the cultural load carried by our facilitators, the cultural load carried each and every day by our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander ministry team and by all First Nations people right across the Army. And I want to make that commitment as one of those white fellas to walking alongside and to trying to share and understand something of that load. So together we continue to walk this path of reconciliation, guided by respect, truth, and indeed a commitment to ongoing and lasting change. May this be a journey that we share together. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg, and acknowledge that your role as Secretary for Mission is super huge, but I want to acknowledge your commitment and leadership both to Auntie Shirl and to Luce and making it a priority for the team. So without you, we wouldn't have been here either. Now I'm just going to ask the Commissioner, Miriam Glewis, to come up and say a few words, and then I'm going to cut the cake, which is just over there. So over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stewie. That it? Well, friends, I do want to say a couple of words this afternoon. I always find this incredibly moving and beautiful and a journey that we do together. And I moved to the land of Brunswick just recently. I don't know if you've ever been to Brunswick, but when I said I was going to Brunswick, all the old people said, "Have you seen the people who live there?" And all the young people said, "Oh, cool." So the land of Brunswick has graffiti everywhere if you've been there. I was watching someone get their black paint out on their shop the other day and I thought, I wonder how long that will last. Well, 2 days later it was all back again. But there are tags everywhere, but there are also some amazing, massive pictures that are quite incredible. I hadn't seen this one until the other day, and I was driving and I looked up and thought, oh my goodness. And it was the picture of an Indigenous man and he was in chains. And I thought, that is not okay. There is nothing about that that is okay. And it reminded me of when I first watched Rabbit Proof Fence and came away thinking I had no idea. And in fact, Auntie Sue and I bought that DVD at the time for everyone in the division. And it made me think again about this journey that we've done. But it also made me think about the song that said, chains be broken, lives be healed, eyes be opened, Christ is revealed. Why is it not okay? Because I know Auntie Shirley, and I love Auntie Shirley. I love Uncle Vince and Auntie Enid. I love Auntie Sue. I love Auntie Lucy. Oh my goodness, there's so many people who are beautiful people who advocate in an incredible way. And there are others of you here today. And I just want to say, we want to take this journey. We must take this journey. And it is so important that we do. Greg, we start this afternoon, thank you, not tomorrow, okay? So we're going to take this journey, the whole 125, is that right, Lucy? But I do want to read this because I think this kind of sums up what we want to say as we take the journey together. God of all creation, as we journey together in this great South land, we pray for healing, forgiveness and unity, creating a path of goodwill with justice and compassion. Jesus, through the power of your love, you have given us the courage, wisdom and strength to share our gifts and talents in humility. In peace and understanding, we reconcile with each other. Creator Spirit, we come together in prayer and thanksgiving for the many blessings we have received. Allow your Spirit to wash over us and give us strength to walk together as one. May that be so. May we take this journey. May we do what is required to come together in a beautiful way. So we launch that today, and we believe that that will happen. And God give us the strength to keep going. Thank you, because you have. We love you, we're with you, we're for you. And so today we launch that stretch wrap. It will stretch us, won't it? In a very good way. We believe for it. So we're going to cut the cake. Then I think we're going to eat together. Come on, Winsome. Come on, Greg. Come on. Anyone who's got a knife?
Well, a lot of you are supposed to be cutting this. Well done. Well, thank you, friends. That brings us to the end of this part of the process. I'm not sure who's going to cut the cake up, but I'm sure you can join in some for afternoon tea. But while it might be the end of this afternoon, it's not the end of the journey. As has been said a number of times, this is just the start. It's our journey, it's our business, it's our guyon. Thank you very much. God bless you each.